we got Kay on the ride. How you doing today?
Well, I've been better. I had a rough week with nausea, so not a fun week. But I went to the doctor, got some medicine, so that should pass. But the worst thing is I missed my girlfriend's birthday party today, which we were going out on a yacht with 9 other girls. We had mimosas to take with us.
Oh, yeah.
We're going over to eat lunch somewhere in some harbor somewhere. And then coming back and we have this mermaid juice that's really good. It's all kinds of liquors and stuff.
Oh, really? Mermaid juice. Gotta check that out.
So, yeah, so so I was so upset. And I had all my outfit because there's a theme to it. And
what was the theme?
Pink flamingos.
Oh, so everybody was wearing something.
I had something with pink flamingos on it. And I had, let's see what I had. I had a scarf with pink flamingos. And
I thought you were going to pull out the outfit. I was like,
no.
Doing everything. So, yeah, I'm sorry to hear about that.
Oh my gosh, I was so disappointed.
So with this nausea, was this something serious? Do you know what it is?
Well, I've had it all my life. It's gastroenteritis. And, some people eat when they get under stress or anxious, whatever. And I don't eat. So all that acid backs up and just, once it gets to a certain point, you just can't stop it. So, I mean, I've actually even gone to the hospital with it, but, if I can manage it, I kind of know what to do if the doctors give me the right medication. That's, one of the problems is getting, fine-tuning kind of that.
Because it's such a unique thing, right? Because is it different for every person? Is that why it's so hard to find the right medication? Or
I think this time it was just I had let it go too long, and instead of dealing with it right when it started, because I always feel optimistic. This is just gonna pass,
right.
And it just didn't this time. So, but
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yes.
Have you been dealing with this your whole life, you said? Really?
I finally had some medication. They called in yesterday and used that, and that did help, but I was still...
it's more something that you just been having to manage then your whole life. Yeah.
Right. There's really nothing they can do. I just, have to catch up. Well, I'm retired, so I'm done.
So what'd you do before you retired?
I was a high school math teacher for 27 years, and I was an engineer for 10.
Oh, really?
I was math was my major, so and by the time I was already graduated with my math degree, I realized I don't know what in the heck I'm going to do with this. I've got a math degree, but they didn't have the guidance back then that they have now with job fairs and all that stuff. Yeah. It was, you were pretty much, you graduated and you were on your own. So I went back and got certified to teach. That was the point of that. Thank you.
So, it's interesting you brought that up, because I always talk about math. Math always was my favorite subject, and I feel like math is the most important. But I would never have thought to make it like a major or anything like that.
Right.
Did you have a game plan? Like, what made you decide?
No, I just always liked math, and I was always very good at it. And at that time, there really weren't too many women in engineering. You're talking 40, 50 years ago. So, they just didn't have that kind of stuff. So,
how'd you go from math to engineering, though?
I just happened to get a job with a small company that made printed circuit boards. But it was a small company. They grew, and they had about close to 300 when I left. We started with about 30. And they did very well. But then things started going to China.
Oh, yeah.
Delete that.
Yeah. No, that's like every company story nowadays.
Right.
Unfortunately.
Right.
Now,
I keep going. No.
keep going. All right. Now, I want to go back more about teaching because first off, I love the profession of teaching. I think it's one of the most important.
After the railroad tracks,
and
right.
underrated.
Oh
well.
yes, we were definitely underrated and underpaid.
I finally just got a raise after, I want to say, decades of fighting for
Yes.
an increase, and it's 5%. Do you think that's a good?
What now?
5%. They're getting a 5% raise, income raise, I believe. If
Yeah. I mean, right now, to me, anything that does a raise is good. So, yeah, I'm just so glad to be out of the classroom. It changed drastically in the last 10 years of teaching.
how do you say?
When the bottom fell out of the real estate market and jobs were so scarce, and families were, especially in the Ruskin area and some of the areas down here where they really don't have many advantages. They don't have a lot of money. So yes, in the last 10 years it's changed drastically. You have kids that are running all over their parents, no respect for teachers. I mean, they just will say F you, and unfortunately they don't even get in much trouble. They get a little, don't say that to your teacher. And it's like, I can't say anything back,
Well, what was different back then? Kids were cussing and acting up back then.
Yes.
Well, what would you do as a teacher back then that you can't do now?
You could send them to another classroom. You could put them out in the hallway. You could still talk to their coaches and stuff.
So nowadays, but I don't see.
So now they just kind of run over people. I mean, the students just try to kind of run over the teachers, and it's just not a healthy environment, I don't think.
Do you think that could be part of the reason why there's shootings now?
So yes, there's a disconnect between parents, teachers, and students. So you're saying one thing to the parents, and they say, oh yeah, we're going to get right on that. Well, they never do. I've seen kids talk to their parents like I would never talk to my parents. Just very rude.
So definitely,
Yellow House.
that could definitely have something to do with the fact that these kids feel like they can get away with so much,
Right.
to the point that they will even pick up an assault rifle.
Exactly.
Because they're angry at their teacher or whatever.
And they're very, I saw a lot of kids like that were isolated and they were bullied and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So,
And what do you suggest the best way to handle that?
I don't have any magic answers, but I do feel there needs to be more parental involvement, more with the other teachers that has that same student, and also with the resource officer, our clinical psychologist that can kind of, feel people out, the students.
So the best advice would probably be to, be aware and pay attention, and if someone's showing signs,
Right.
get together with the other
Right.
colleagues and that associate with them
Right.
and see what they can do to prevent
Exactly.
it. That's excellent
So a
advice.
team approach is really the best thing because, we only spend an hour a day with them. So that's not very much to get when you have 20-something kids in a room.
Right.
So, but...
And you might not see what the other people are seeing.
Exactly. Yeah, they were bullying, and I had no idea what they were doing.
How about any teachers? Because I get a lot of students that are learning to be teachers, and I definitely commend them for not, changing their minds after
after
recent
what's
events.
gone down.
Any advice for anyone who's looking to get into the field of teaching and how to handle these students?
So men do very well because there is something about, a man's voice, a man's stature, that they think twice before they say something. Now they'll still say it, but
yeah, it's unfair. I've walked into daycares where the kids are running amok, and then all of a sudden I don't even work there, and they're listening to me.
Exactly, and that's what they do. So in the math department, I was at East Bay. We had a lot of coaches for math teachers.
Really?
And, yeah.
Just because they were better at getting them to pay attention and focus.
Yeah, and it was their other field. and as long as you teach lower level math, you don't need a total math degree. So
Well, what kind what kind of advice would you have for anybody who's looking to be, become a teacher, and they're gonna have some trouble, students and
Right.
stuff like that. I guess, definitely, work together with the colleagues, but
Right.
but any advice, kind of inspiration or hope for them, so that way they can, not give up on, after hearing like recent events and being
Right.
scared, should be worried about the kids.
I would make sure that every student, like especially if, you're not going to like everybody. So, but if I have a conflict with a student and it really is just ongoing, I will move myself closer to that person and, like kind of look over their shoulder and say, oh, good job. Give them some attention, some praise. And I mean, little things like that just make them feel connected to the
Right.
classroom and to the class.
And one thing I noticed when they're young like that, those little things mean so much
Yes.
more to them
Yes.
than we could even
Exactly.
imagine as adults. So that's
Exactly.
definitely great advice.
Yeah.
And I do have one last question
Yeah.
for you, because they're talking about arming the teachers. How do you feel about that?
I agree with part of it. It would have to be someone who's been in the service or is an aim marksman. It'd have to be
Yes.
somebody,
But you have
and
to
only a
admit,
handful.
probably 80 to 90% of the teachers are not military trained.
Right, exactly.
So
Exactly.
with that, and then especially like being a female, and
Right.
it's not,
Yeah.
you went to school to imagining, to help these
Yes,
students grow, and now all of a
exactly.
sudden you're being told, here, hold this gun.
Right, yeah, and teach math at the same time, I
Right.
mean, there's times I wouldn't have wanted that gun in the classroom because I was ready to shoot some of them.
But
But
that's the other thing. I think, what about the teachers? What if they? Because a
they-
lot of times there was a teacher I just heard on the news who's locked themselves in the classroom with a gun. He wasn't attacking the students apparently, but at the same time,
Oh my gosh.
he's, you know what I mean. This
Right.
is, so I think it may be just adding more problems.
Right. I think that's you'd have to tiptoe through that to make sure you had
That's it.
totally qualified people. And and I would say only a handful in a building. And
I think of like this though, teenagers, they can be really bad, and they fearless, whereas a teacher behind the desk will have more reserve
right.
and reservations, and quick, and so there's a chance that the students might turn on the teacher and then use the gun against them.
Yes. And those are all real valid points. And that's why I say it's a very delicate subject because there are pros and cons. But we have a resource officer at East Bay. And then we also have,
They had one at Parkland.
yeah. And that's what I mean. One is not enough, and there's just no money for the rest of them, to bring on more people.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know if maybe they didn't take it serious on who they were posting at the school, but this
Right.
person obviously when it was time for them to step up and do the job they signed to do, they failed them. They weren't there to do it, and with that, it's like maybe they thought that was the easy job and then realized they were
Right.
going to
Yes.
actually do something. So,
Yes.
but I don't want to keep you up too
Well,
long. We've
thank
been
you.
here.
It's been a pleasure
Oh,
talking
it's been
to you.
so great. I'm very glad that I had this conversation with you.
Well, and if you decide to go into teaching, good luck to you. It's I love my pension check every month.
Oh yeah. Well, I tell you this, I definitely have played with the idea. But I kind of got my hands full now.
Right. Well, that's good.
Well, hey, I want to say goodbye. You have a great day.
Goodbye.